Hi, I'm Dr. Faye Snyder, and in this video I'd like to tell you about how I created the predictor scale. I'd like to tell you how it came to be. I was teaching a class at California State University Northridge on developmental psychology, which was heavily weighted toward genetics, and so in order to deal with that imbalance, I asked all my students to do a forensic evaluation of two famous people in the media. And that meant that they would have to choose somebody for their behavior and then do research to find out as much as possible about their childhood. So I found that my students would pick some of the most irrelevant information to focus on and would kind of overlook other important information, and they just didn't know how to zone in on what matters when you're trying to understand somebody's behavior. So I found myself standing at the board, the whiteboard, and writing up, attachment. You have to assess attachment, and you have to assess the quality of the attachment, and were there any attachment breaks. And then you have to assess whether or not there was any physical abuse, and what age the abuse was, and how often the child was abused, and how many lashes at one time. Was it once a week, or once a year, or never? And then you have to assess, was there any sexual abuse, and what age was the sexual abuse, and how often was the sexual abuse? And then you have to assess emotional abuse, and at what age did the emotional abuse begin, and how often was it? Then you need to assess the ethics of the family system, like was there a repression ethic or an expression ethic, and was there a blame ethic? Was this a family that had a tendency to blame everybody else for how things what happened to them, or were they a family where they took responsibility for the things that were going on in their lives, and so they would self-correct? So I just sort of organically developed the predictor scale as a way of teaching my students. And then I started noticing how forensic evaluators, well, I guess I'd already noticed this, but it seemed to me that the predictor scale would be a really good tool for forensic evaluations, because they're all over the map. And I can imagine what it would be like to be a judge or a jury or even a lawyer. How do you cross-examine a forensic evaluator? You don't know what standards to use. So it just crossed my mind that that a lot of things, it was like an epiphany. A lot of things could be solved. A lot of clarity could be created. A lot of lives could be saved with predictor scale. So then I went about weighting different experiences. What experience would you give this kind of weight to, and what experience would you give that kind of weight to? And of course I eliminated all the ones that weren't significant enough. And the purpose of the predictor scale is so that you can understand why a person is the way they are, and even prophesy how healthy and contributive or how dangerous they're going to be when they become an adult. So I'm going to do a series of videos using the predictor scale and applying it to famous people in the news, especially people that you can't imagine how could they do that. I refer you to my book, The Predictor Scale, and you can even download blank sheets if you want to practice. But come and join me, and we'll look at different people who have made the news, and we'll try to figure out together how could they do that.